The Four Agreements, a practical guide to personal freedom, a Toltec wisdom book by Don Miguel Ruiz. Over a decade on the New York Times bestseller list. In The Four Agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz reveals the source of self-limiting beliefs that rob us of joy and create needless suffering. Based on ancient Toltec wisdom, the Four Agreements offer a powerful code of conduct that can rapidly transform our lives to a new experience of freedom, true happiness and love. Yay! Don Miguel Ruiz's book is a roadmap to enlightenment and freedom. Deepak Chopra, author of the 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. An inspiring book with many great lessons. Wayne Dyer, author of The Real Magic. In the tradition of Castaneda, Ruiz distills essential Toltec wisdom, expressing with clarity and impeccability what it means for men and women to live as peaceful warriors in the modern world. Dan Millen, author of The Way of the Peaceful Warrior. That's a great book. The Four Agreements. Be impeccable with your word. Speak with integrity. Say only what you mean. Avoid using the word to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. Don't take anything personally. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. Don't make assumptions. Find the courage to ask questions and to express what you really want. Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstandings, sadness and drama. With just this one agreement, you can completely transform your life. Always do your best. Your best is going to change from moment to moment. It will be different when you are healthy as opposed to sick. Under any circumstances, simply do your best and you will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse and regret. To the circle of fire, those who have gone before, those who are present, and those who have yet to come. Contents. Introduction. 1. Domestication and the dream of the planet. 2. The first agreement, be impeccable with your word. 3. The second agreement, don't take anything personally. 4. The third agreement, don't make assumptions. 5. The fourth agreement, always do your best. 6. The Toltec path to freedom, breaking old agreements. 7. The new dream, heaven on earth. And prayers. Acknowledgements. I would like to humbly acknowledge my mother, Sarita, who taught Mercury time, the mind. That's been going off for so long now that has really programmed my subconscious to be in line with the planets and the energy. And I've literally just got this book up before Mercury times come up. It was Venus time before this, which is love and money. Venus is. So, yeah, that's interesting. It's amazing how you can reprogram your subconscious mind with stuff going on in the background to work with the energies for maximum output, minimum effort. That's what we want. Acknowledgements. I would like to humbly... Angela, hi. My New Zealand friends. I would like to humbly acknowledge my mother, Sarita, who taught me unconditional love. My father, Jose Luis, who taught me discipline. My grandfather, Leonardo Macias, who gave me the key to unlock the Toltec mysteries, and my sons, Miguel, Jose Luis, and Leonardo. I wish to express my deep affection and appreciation to the dedication of Gaia Jenkins and Trey Jenkins, or Gaia Jenkins maybe. I would like to extend my profound gratitude to Janet Mills, publisher, editor, believer. I'm also abidingly grateful to Ray Chambers for lighting the way. I would like to honour my dear friend Jeannie Gentry, an amazing brain whose faith touched my heart I would like to pay tribute to the many people who have given freely of their time, hearts and resources to support the teachings. A partial list includes Gay, Buckley, Ted and Peggy Ray. I'm not going to do all that. Sorry. Hi guys. Thank you guys. Here we go. Let's get started. The Toltec. Thousands of years ago, the Toltec were known throughout southern Mexico as women and men of knowledge. Anthropologists have spoken of the Toltec as a nation or race. But in fact, the Toltec were scientists and artists who formed a society to explore and conserve the spiritual knowledge and practices of the ancient ones. They came together as masters, naguals, and students of Teotihuacan, the ancient city of pyramids outside Mexico City, known as the place where man becomes God. Over the millennia, the Naguals were forced to conceal the ancestral wisdom and maintain its existence in obscurity. European conquest, coupled with rampant misuse of personal power by a few of the apprentices, made it necessary to shield the knowledge from those who were not prepared to use it wisely or might intentionally misuse it for personal gain. Fortunately, the esoteric Toltec knowledge was embodied and passed on through generations by different lineages of Naguals. Though it remained veiled in secrecy for hundreds of years, ancient prophecies foretold the coming of an age when it would be necessary to return the wisdom to the people. May that be now, perhaps. Now Don Miguel Ruiz, a Nagual from the Eagle Knight lineage, has been guided to share with us the powerful teachings of the Toltec. Toltec knowledge arises from the same essential unity of truth as all the sacred esoteric traditions found around the world. Though it is not a religion, it honours all the spiritual masters who have taught on earth. While it does embrace spirit, it is most accurately described as a way of life, distinguished by the ready accessibility of happiness and love. Introduction. The Smoky Mirror. 3,000 years ago, there was a human just like you and me, who lived near a city surrounded by mountains. The human was studying to become a medicine man, to learn the knowledge of his ancestors, but he didn't completely agree with everything he was learning. In his heart, he felt there must be something more. One day, as he slept in a cave, he dreamed that he saw his own body sleeping. He came out of the cave on the night of a new moon. The sky was clear, and he could see millions of stars. Then something happened inside of him that transformed his life forever. He looked at his hands, he felt his body, and he heard his own voice say, "I am made of light. I am made of stars. The Zanonis, children of the stars, all of us, our most amazing bioorganic computers. Please shush and let's read the book. I am made of light and I am made of stars." He looked at the stars again and he realised that it's not the stars that create light, but rather light that creates the stars. Everything is made of light, he said, and the space in between isn't empty. And he knew that everything that exists is one living being, and that light is the messenger of life, because it is alive and contains all information. Then he realised that although he was made of stars, he was not those stars. I am in between the stars, he thought. So he called the stars, the tonal, and the light between the stars, the Nagual. Nagual, N-A-G-U-A-L. I'll call it Nagual. Nagual. I'll call it Nagual. So he called the stars the tonal, and the light between the stars, the Nagual. And he knew that what created the harmony and space between the two is life or intent. Without life, the tonal and the Nagual could not exist. Life is the force of the absolute, the supreme, the creator who creates everything. This is what he discovered. Everything in existence is a manifestation of the one living being we call God. Everything is God. And he came to the conclusion. This is what he discovered. Everything in existence is a manifestation of the one living being we call God. Everything is God. And he came to the conclusion that human perception is merely light perceiving light. If we observe our thoughts, we can't be our thoughts. But yet, light can perceive light. He also saw that matter is a mirror. Everything is a mirror that reflects light and centres images and creates images of that light. And the world of illusion, the dream, is just like smoke, which doesn't allow us to see what we really are. The real us is pure love, pure light, he said. This realisation changed his life. Once he knew what he really was, he looked around at other humans and the rest of nature. And he was amazed at what he saw. He saw himself in everything, in every human, in every animal, in every tree, in the water, in the rain, in the clouds, in the earth. And he saw that life mixed the tonal and the nagual in different ways to create billions of manifestations of life. In those few moments, he comprehended everything. He was very excited, and his heart was filled with peace. He could hardly wait to tell his people what he had discovered. But there were no words to explain it. He tried to tell the others, but they could not understand. They could not see that he had changed, that something beautiful was radiating from his eyes and his voice. They noticed that he no longer had judgment about anything or anyone. He was no longer like anyone else. He could understand everyone very well, but no one could understand him. They believed that he was an incarnation of God, and he smiled when he heard this, and he said, "It is true, I am God, but you are also God. We are the same, you and I. We are images of light. We are God," but still the people didn't understand him. He had discovered that he was a mirror for the rest of the people, a mirror in which he could see himself. Everyone is a mirror, he said. He saw himself in everyone, but nobody saw him as themselves. And he realised that everyone was dreaming, but without awareness, without knowing that they really are. They couldn't see him as themselves because there was a wall of fog or smoke between the mirrors. And that wall of fog was made by the interpretation of images of light, the dream humans. Then he knew that he would soon forget all that he had learned. He wanted to remember all the visions he had had. So he decided to call himself the Smoky Mirror, so that he would always know that matter is a mirror, and the smoke in between is what keeps us from knowing that we are. He said, "I am the smoky mirror, because I am looking at myself in all of you. But we don't recognise each other because of the smoke in between us. That smoke is the dream, and the mirror is you, the dreamer. Let's have a collective dream." Living is easy with eyes closed. Misunderstanding all that you see. John Lennon. 1. Domestication. And the dream of the planet. What you are seeing and hearing right now is nothing but a dream. You are dreaming right now, in this moment. You are dreaming with the brain awake. Dreaming is the main function of the mind, and the mind dreams 24 hours a day. It dreams when the brain is awake, and it also dreams when the brain is asleep. The difference is that when the brain is awake, there is a material frame that makes us perceive things in a linear way. When we go to sleep, we do not have the frame, and the dream has the tendency to change constantly, in a circular way with a twist. Humans are dreaming all the time. Before we were born, you're very good at correcting me, thank you. Before we were born, the humans before us created a big outside dream that we will call society's dream, or the dream of the planet. The dream of the planet is the collective dream of billions of smaller personal dreams, which together create a dream of a family, a dream of a community, a dream of a city, a dream of a country, and finally, a dream of the whole of humanity. The dream of the planet includes all of society's rules, its beliefs, its laws, its religions, its different cultures and ways to be, its government, schools, social events and holidays. We are born with the capacity to learn how to dream, and the humans who lived before us teach us how to dream the way society dreams. We couldn't dream because of the no vision inside and no hearing and no speaking. It was just dark. Please stay working, internet. And that's what's hurt us, isn't it? The outside dream has so many rules that when a new human is born, we hook the child's attention and introduce these rules into his or her mind. But it doesn't work for all of us. And that's okay. But that's why we have to find the strength and the courage to live our own uniqueness. The outside dream uses mum and dad, the schools and religion to teach us how to dream. Attention is the ability we have to discriminate and to focus only on which we want to perceive. Attention is the ability we have to discriminate and to focus only on that which we want to perceive. We can perceive millions of things simultaneously, but using our attention, we can hold whatever we want to perceive in the foreground of our mind. The adults around us hooked our attention and put information into our minds through repetition. That is the way we learned everything we know. Hi, Julia. Julia and Angela. Oh, you smile. We're not going to say hello anymore. No more hellos, in case there's someone that comes up and triggers us. So we're going to switch off to that because we don't want to hurt anyone. So if we switch off to that, we won't hurt anyone. So massive love to you both and anyone else that's watching this when their time is right. And no more hellos to anyone, please. Very good heart connections meditation this morning it was. By using our attention, we learned a whole reality, a whole dream. We learned how to behave in society, what to believe and what not to believe, what is acceptable and what is not acceptable, what is good and what is bad, what is beautiful and what is ugly, what is right and what is wrong. It was all there already, all that knowledge, all those rules and concepts about how to behave in the world. When you were in school, you sat in a little chair and put your attention on what the teacher was teaching you. When you went to church, you put your attention on what the priest or minister was telling you. It is the same dynamic with mum and dad, brothers and sisters. They were all trying to hook your attention. We also learn to hook the attention of other humans. And we develop a need for attention, which we can become very competitive. We also learn to hook the attention of other humans. And we develop a need for attention, which can become very competitive. Children compete for the attention of their parents, their teachers, their friends. Look at me, look at what I'm doing. Hey, I'm here. The need for attention becomes very strong and continues into adulthood. The outside dream hooks our attention and teaches us what to believe. beginning with the language that we speak. Language is the code for understanding and communicating between humans. The language we use is also the programming of our subconscious mind, of this most amazing bioorganic computer. You are writing your new program. Choose wisely what language to use. The outside dream hooks our attention and teaches us what to believe, beginning with the language we speak. Language is the code for understanding and communication between humans. Every letter, every word in each language is an agreement. We call this a page in a book. The word page is an agreement that we understand. Once we understand the code, our attention is hooked and the energy is transferred from one person to another. It was not your choice to speak English. You didn't choose your religion or your moral values. They were already there before you were born. We never had the opportunity to choose what to believe or what not to believe. We never chose even the smallest of these agreements. We didn't even choose our own name. We know our new name. That's a secret, though. Shh. Te pichonino ma. Chito patati na. Jituma. Linta menino na mana. Oh, tita. Chitonino ma. Chitati na. As children, we didn't have the opportunity to choose our beliefs, but we agreed with the information that was passed to us from the dream of the planet via other humans. The only way to store information is by agreement. The outside dream may hook our attention, but if we don't agree, we don't store that information. As soon as we agree, we believe it, and this is called faith. To have faith is to believe unconditionally. That's how we learn as children. Children believe everything adults say. We agree with them. And our faith is so strong that the belief system controls our whole dream of life. We didn't choose these beliefs, and we may have rebelled against them, but we were not strong enough to win the rebellion. I am. We're a double Aquarius, sun and moon. 5 Virgo in our first 2 houses. The result is surrender to the beliefs with our agreement. And our last 3 houses, 11, 10 and 12, which are the last ones in your chart, are all empty. And if they're empty, it doesn't mean you've got lots to work on. It means you have less to work on. Going to enjoy watching this one back. Really going to make those neurological dots connect. Thank you for the Isabella New Moon Aries meditation up that tree a little bit. That was good, wasn't it? Yes. We do advise you to watch the Virgo full moon meditation that we did and the Aries new moon one. And then we've got the balanced supermoon coming up too. They've got very strong energies in, so if you want a maximum output kick, yeah, watch them and see what it does to you. You may get triggered, you may get... The result is to surrender to the beliefs with our agreement. I call this process the... That's well timed. I call this process the domestication of humans. And through this domestication, we learn how to live and how to dream. In human domestication, the information from the outside dream is conveyed to the inside dream, creating a whole belief system. First, the child is taught the names of things: mum, dad, milk, bottle, day by day. At home, at school, at church, and from television. We are told how to live, what kind of behaviour is acceptable. The outside dream teaches us how to be human. We have a whole concept of what a woman is and what a man is. And we also learn to judge. We judge ourselves, judge other people, judge the neighbours. Children are domesticated the same way that we domesticate a dog, a cat, or any other animal. In order to teach a dog, we punish the dog and we give it rewards. We train our children, whom we love so much, the same way that we train our domesticated animal, with a system of punishment and reward. We are told, we never use this. Thank you. We are told, you're a good boy, or you're a good girl. When we do what mum and dad want us to do. When we don't, we are a bad girl or a bad boy. We say, well done to Zendaya. Yes, well done you too. Well done you too. When we went against the rules, we were punished. When we went along with the rules, we got a reward. We were punished many times a day, and we were also rewarded many times a day. Soon we became afraid of being punished, and also afraid of not receiving the reward. The reward is the attention that we got from our parents or from other people like siblings, teachers and friends. We soon develop a need to hook other people's attention in order to get the reward. The reward feels good, and we keep doing what others want us to do in order to get the reward. With that fear of being punished and that fear of not getting the reward, we start pretending to be what we are not. With that fear of being punished and that fear of not getting the reward, we start pretending to be what we are not, just to please others, just to be good enough for someone else. We try to please mum and dad. We try to please the teachers at school. We try to please the church. And so we start acting. We pretend to be what we are not because we are afraid of being rejected. The fear of being rejected becomes the fear of not being good enough. Eventually we become someone that we are not. We become a copy of mama's beliefs, of daddy's beliefs, society's beliefs, and religion's beliefs. All our normal tendencies are lost in the process of domestication. And when we are old enough for our mind to understand, we learn the word no. The adults say, don't do this and don't do that. We rebel and say no. We rebel because we are defending our freedom. We want to be ourselves, but we are very little, and the adults are big and strong. After a certain time, we are afraid because we know that every time we do something wrong, we're going to be punished. The domestication is so strong that at a certain point in our lives, we no longer need anyone to domesticate us. We don't need mum or dad, the school or the church to domesticate us. We are just so well trained that we are our own domestication. We are an auto-domesticated animal. We can now domesticate ourselves according to the same belief system we were given and using the same system of punishment and reward. We are our own worst critic. We punish ourselves when we don't follow the rules according to our belief system. We reward ourselves when we are the good boy or the good girl. The belief system is like a book of law that rules our mind without question. Whatever is in that book of law is our truth. We base all of our judgments according to the book of law, even if these judgments go against our own inner nature. Even moral laws like the 10 Commandments are programmed into our mind in the process of domestication. One by one, all these agreements go into the book of law, and these agreements rule our dream. So then our dreams become limited, but not for us. We don't conform to society or the ways of the dreams, and so our dreams are limitless, infinite. That's the 8. Getting good at that. T's. We used to have to be trained to say our T's when we were younger. There is something in our minds that judges everybody and everything, including the weather, the dog, the cat, everything. The inner judge uses what is in our book of law to judge everything we do and don't do, everything we think and don't think, and everything we feel and don't feel. Everything lives under the tyranny of this judge. Every time we do something that goes against the book of law, the judge says, we are guilty, we need to be punished, we should be ashamed. This happens many times a day, day after day, day after day, day after day, day after day, for all the years of our lives. There is another part of us that receives the judgments, and this part is called the victim. The victim carries the blame, the guilt and the shame. It is the part of us that says, poor me, I'm not good enough, I'm not intelligent enough, I'm not attractive enough, I'm not worthy of love, poor me. I've got so aligned and balanced. The words align with the emotions and the feeling that are trapped in the physical body that have manifested into the physical ailments. And so that's that all releasing, and the spasms are the nervous system rewiring itself together again, especially up on the cervical. It's very painful. But that's the gift of the Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and the fibromyalgia. The fibromyalgia, when the pathways or the tubes in our body get congested and blocked, it makes new pathways and new tubes. It's fucking fantastic, really, isn't it? Except then you've got the pain of the building of the new tubes. But you've also got the pain of the blockages of the old, so you have double the amount of pain. The gift of my traumas, the emotional traumas, is that I'm a freezer. My body would freeze. But the gift of the dissociative identity disorder, the multiple personality disorder, the genius coping mechanism of trauma, because we're all a genius when we're born, the mind keeps going when the body is frozen. So the mind's had lots of activities to do. So I thought that I was always a slow learner, but I'm not a slow learner. There's lots of us that are many really, really fast learners. There's just so many of us. It takes a long time to connect all the dots, but when we do, ding, 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 ding! Boy, do they connect. And we're on that exponential curve now. And soon we're going to have the courage, very soon, I think it's going to be the month of April. Because to keep us grounded, and now we've made that connection with the core of Earth, the mycobellum roots, Mother Nature, through the tree Aries New Moon meditation on the 24th, and my mum who committed suicide, stuck in the limbo land. She's the shamanic one. Her name was Whispering Reed Woman from the Native American Indians. My name's Snowflake from the She's the team leader of the 4-year-olds and younger. And then my Auntie Ursula, who I never was able to fully connect with, but she saw us. And she saw me fully. And she saw our physical pain and our suffering, because she suffered immense physical pain too. She was an ex-nun, married to an ex-priest. It's a beautiful story, I think. I can't remember it all, but one of us can. But it took them, he was like high up there in the priesthood, and it took him something like 12 years to get out of the priesthood to be allowed to marry Ursula. I think it's probably a combination of getting past his own beliefs and morals of what drove him to be a priest in the first place, and then probably the immense amount of time it took to then break your vows or whatever you needed to do. And he's been such a massive help on this journey with the words that he's given us. Because when a priest or ex-priest says to you, I have so much respect and admiration for you, to go to those darkest, deepest places that I could never go to, it means something. And we need those few bits of words and understanding from others to keep us going. And we don't need much. So thank you, Bob. Thank you, Mum. And thank you, Ursula. So I got the grounding and I got the spiritual stuff now in the passed over lines, but they're not passed over. They're doing their thing, and I'm in the generation in the middle in the physical form. And no matter how much I've wanted to die, to free myself from the physical pain, and more so since I lost my body, because I did learn to manage my mental and my emotional pain, and we did it well, because we didn't get locked up until recently, and one of us knew we'd get locked up if they found out. I didn't know what they found out. It was kept hidden from me too. And that's why we had to have all the experiences that we've had in life. And we will learn to find the vocabulary, all the positive connotation vocabulary. And our gift of this multitude of different perspectives from within will enable us to deliver the language and the words that are needed to that individual at that time for them to be able to feel or understand. And it might even be that we do it in such a way that they feel they've come to the idea themselves or from someone else. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. Because I hate being seen and heard. I don't want recognition. Some of the younger alters do, but they're still in that belief system, and they've never had that recognition or that unconditional love from one person. And that's why it's been so hard for us to go into that light and find it, but also because our darkness, there's so much of it and it's so deep. And it's not just ours. It's the Catholic Church. Not the whole of the Catholic Church. The shadow side of the Catholic Church. Because there's a shadow side and there's a light side to everything. The yoga teacher training taught me that we teach classes, but we don't teach classes to include everyone. But yet, if you teach a class that's suitable for someone with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, it can be a class that includes everyone. Evolution's something external, but the yoga Sanskrit text taught me involution is when we go inwards. This book taught me to question everything and not be scared. The travelling and the cultures and the people that I've got on best with that haven't misunderstood me are the ones that don't speak English. Yeah, back to the book now. This is going to be a great one to watch back and take notes. It's really going to get that constructive feedback of information loop going. And then more presence and more conscious co-consciousness. And then the less our past is going to define us in the moment. We can do this. We are doing this. That's correct. No. You toppy totty not. Any decision you make is the right decision. The wrong decision is not making a decision at all. This happens many times a day, day after day, day after day, day after day, day after day, for all the years of our lives. There is another part of us that receives the judgments, and this part's called the victim. The victim carries the blame, the guilt and the shame. It is the part of us that says, poor me, I'm not good enough, I'm not intelligent enough, I'm not attractive enough, I'm not worthy of love, poor me. The big judge agrees and says, yes, you are not good enough. And this is all based on a belief system that we never chose to believe. These beliefs are so strong that even years later, when we are exposed to the new concepts and try to make our own decisions, we find that these beliefs still control our lives. Whatever goes against the book of law will make you feel a funny sensation in your solar plexus. And it's called fear. Breaking the rules in the book of the law opens your emotional wounds. And your reaction is to create emotional poison. Because everything that is in the book of law has to be true. Anything that challenges what you believe is going to make you feel unsafe. Even if the book of law is wrong, it makes you feel safe. Because everything that is in the book of law has to be true. Anything that challenges what you believe is going to make you feel unsafe. Even if the book of law is wrong, it makes you feel safe. Don't understand that. We don't need to understand it. We're just reading. So the key is not to understand. To understand, we can't always understand. Even if the book of law is wrong, it makes you feel safe. Because everything that is in the book of law has to be true. Anything that challenges what you believe is going to make you feel unsafe. Even if the book of law is wrong, it makes you feel safe. And that's the root chakra, the primitive. We want to feel safe and secure. That is why we need a great deal of courage to challenge our own beliefs. Because even if we know we didn't choose all these beliefs, it is also true that we agreed to all of them. Thank you for locking us up. I thought I needed to get home, that I needed to get out of there and be in a familiar environment and with Zendaya. But of course, half of us is backwards. Even the people closest to me made me take more medication. What did the medication do to me last time? Sent me into seizures. Sent me regress like a baby. I couldn't use my body. It made me go so locked in at times with my autism, be it high functioning or low functioning, that at one time it said to me, let's stay here. I was having none of that. There's no way I was going to get locked into the autism. And that's what had a shift in perception. That was before going to casualty that time, that first time. And lucky for the DID, it came out. Whoever needed to come out, came out, and we mirrored the energies around them to give them what they needed to let us go home. And this time we were wiser. So, there's 2 people that are exceptionally close to you in here right now. And then there's another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Boy, this is a lot of energy to mirror. And we didn't know then that we could ask for them all to leave apart from maybe 2 of them. So then it would be... And it probably would have been better if those 2 closest people hadn't have been with me. And it was just those 2 and me, because then that would have been free and so much easier to navigate. But had I not had that experiences, I wouldn't have known the situation or the energy, which meant I wouldn't have got to now this hindsight and this self-reflection and this moment of clarity. But I did know that someone with ADS uses at least 4 times more energy than the normal person. I knew about the half-life of medication, the scientist, the mathematician, because we're fucking smart in here. I'd got all the research and I've read it all, so even if it didn't come out at the right moment, it was all in there. And the more I've delved into my subconscious, the more I've got to know these older personalities because they are my subconscious. And your subconscious is your right brain hemisphere. It's your body. It's your heart. 95% of you. It's where all that strength and that courage and everything's held. And once you have the courage to go in there too, you can create your wildest dreams. So, with that knowledge, they need me to take more medication. I've just lost 4 days and come round to 8 people holding me down, telling me to relax. I don't want to go back there. I might get lost to the autism. What do I do? What do I do? We take the medication, dear one. We take the medication. But how do we take the medication safely? Use your maths. Use your numbers. Swap them around. 4 times more energy we use than the average person. 4 times more. Divide by 4. So, what's the minimum amount that you'd give to the average person? Divide that by 4 and I shall take it. I will want to know the half-life. And I will take 2 different medications if the half-life is a quick one and it gets out of your system. I will take one at lunchtime and I will take one at night. But I am not taking 2 together. Why? Because I know they say that they've done clinical trials and medical research on all of this. But each human has a different baseline of a chemical structure in their body. And if you've got a different baseline of a chemical structure in your body, they can't tell you that they know what one medication is going to do to you because everyone's so different in the first place. And they don't have any medical trials of this whole baseline thing to start with. So therefore, it's not really safe for certain individuals, like someone with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is more of us than we realise. Anyone that's an empath, anyone that's hypersensitive, this stuff will affect them more. So, 1 at lunchtime and 1 in the evening. Because then they've got no idea what you're doing when you're mixing them together. And I was on at least 5 or 6 different medications. That's what gave me the seizures. And I wouldn't be here like this as I was now if I hadn't done my yoga, if I hadn't done my sound. My body, it was like I'd been taken over by spirits or whatever. My body would convulse into yoga positions and manage to get myself upside down when my head was about to explode and burst and all the neurons and the connections that would have left me retarded. I saw every victim lifestyle ahead of me with the wheelchair, with this, with that. And I wasn't prepared to have any of them. I was being given birth to. And giving birth over and over on this mirror loop. So I took the medication at lunchtime and it came to the evening. So there's me, the most self-accountable, self-responsible, self-reliant, self-healing, maybe in alternative ways, sanest person in there. But I was the only one under Section 2, the only one them flashing a flashlight in the door. Or maybe they do that to everyone else, I don't know. But it was like every 15 minutes to start with because I was on suicide, which had sent the autonomic nervous system into spasms, which meant they kept checking up. So we had to pretend to lay still so that eventually it got down to hourly checks. But the funniest thing is when it came to the evening to give me more medication, they went to give me 2. It's like, you're only meant to be giving me 1. And then they asked me, which one? I told them I'm on the one that's under Section 2, locked up, mentally ill. You're the ones that's meant to be listening to me, writing down the information. God, it was an experience in there. But that was it. It was a fucking horrific, horrible, most insightful, profound experience that gave me the ability to believe in myself and to know that believing in the impossible and the unseen is incredible. And I then refused to take any more medication. Eventually got them to let me have my sound healing tools and my crystals and my tuning forks in there. My Koshi chimes, which all got stolen. Or I handed in a bag, massive. It's people and the things, things and the people. It's another beautiful story that one of the alters created was to give away the things that mattered to us, that we could do this on our own because the other people in there needed it. So we were going to go out and give all the tuning forks and the koshi chimes. The koshi chimes are like £40 each, and the tuning forks aren't cheap each. But it's not about the money, you see, when you're in these life-threatening situations. And quite frankly, to stay locked up in that place, it would have been a life-threatening situation. So we were going to give them out, and then one came out and said, no, give it to a staff member, and then they can like hold workshops or groups for the people. And it had all the biscuits and crisps and chocolate that was put in there, because I learned from cycling John O'Groats to Land's End that when I eat shit food, I can't control these mental, emotional imbalances that go on in the head. And so we didn't eat any of them. And we had a watermelon. God, the watermelon was great, but I think that's got that the fourth state in. I mean, you can drink as much as water as you want, but if you don't have this new fourth state of matter in that they've discovered, you still become dehydrated. Yeah, it's down to the electrolytes that you can get from coconut water and the rest of it, but more importantly, it's down to the plasma in the body, that jelly-like substance that holds the water. And that's all down to your fascia, your connective tissue, which for that to function properly, you need your diatomaceous earth. The found 89% for silica, the foundation to life. Because if your fascia is not functioning properly, nothing else can adhere to that or do anything, like the calcium, rah-de-rah. We've gone on now. But yeah, I took the medication. I flipped out again, like I said I would. And I brought myself back. So they accepted not to give me any more medication. There was a wonderful night nurse manager in there, who had the same name as my first love, actually. So it was great talking to him, and he could see what we were doing. He could see us, the books, and he was really interested, and he got it. And then one day it came to I was having major stuff go on, and it goes, I said, I've had moments of insight. It's like, you're the same name as my first love. And I'm realising it's triggering us, and that it's making me just like, go round. He never came in to have a chat with us in the evening again after that, which hurt, but it was better because it lessened the triggers, which meant I had more energy then to focus on myself. It hurt because, again, I lost a bit of connection that I'd just developed. But the triggers are good to learn. But the more we can lessen the triggers around us, the more energy we have for ourselves to understand ourselves. So yeah, we managed to get ourselves out within 2 weeks. We had a different psychiatric professional to come around, which was great, because the original one, the woman, I mean, we'd been in correspondence with her by email, but she'd never actually seen us. And like, all that medication, we'd basically lessened it all, we're almost off it, and we went to the doctors again. And when the doctor had correspondence with her, she was wanting to double the medication that I was on. I'd already lessened this by at least 4. She wanted to double it, which means she wanted me to put me on 8 times the amount that I was currently on. Boy, was it hard in the room with her when she was having to do whatever. But that's because her heart was closed, and she believed in the medication, and what her knowledge was about the marijuana was, but you can get the different, you got the THC, you got the CBD, and blah blah blah. And it's like, yeah, I know all this, and I know a lot more than you, but actually in this moment I'm not able to communicate that to you. But I needed to have my patterns changed. I needed to stop the pattern of the smoking. I needed my lungs back to fully heal. So again, that was good. And the psychiatrist that did finally let us out, I managed to sit in on it. I managed to say it was okay to have the professionals there. I managed to start talking, and say enough, but then a reaction came on. I managed to get out of there and have the reaction with 2 people that were safe to have them with, that wouldn't prejudge and think that I was still manic. Because I've realised the manicness that is presented is just, again, one of the tools that we use, that we know. Fear and excitement, when you measure them down to the micro level, it's the same pretty much. So if it's the same, one can do the trickery of the mind that the mind's always doing on us and convert that fear into excitement. But when there's a multitude of us converting fear into excitement, there's going to be a very strong lot of excitement. So therefore we will present the manicness to you. But yet we hide our pain and we hide our trauma from you because we don't want to hurt anyone else, because it's deep, dark pain and trauma. So therefore all you get is the manicness. Oh, no-win. It's a no-win situation really at the end of the day, isn't it? Well, that's what comes from a limited belief system mind. But we've got many of us inside that don't have a limited belief system mind. And we are learning a way not to pass on all this pain and fear and trauma to whoever the individual is in our environment. And we've had to completely recluse our way and let go of everyone, even our brother and our last friend, which we knew would trigger the rejection and the abandonment issues. And it's been hard, really hard to overcome that. The hardest thing has been hurting them, knowing they would get hurt and they wouldn't understand, because the victim in them of being hurt and rejected and abandoned when they've put in so much effort and done the best that they can has been pushed back in their face. But that isn't our intention. Our intention is the opposite of that, and we've always told every individual that's come into our space that they need to have healthy boundaries and healthy needs so that they don't get caught into that rescuer trauma triangle, because you can only be in your rescuer for so long and then you will convert into the perpetrator or into the victim. And I can't have that back, because I can't mirror the perpetrator or the victim, because if I mirror the perpetrator, a perpetrator alter will come out and take over and kill us. And if I mirror the victim, our young victim ones, which are so strong, so beautiful, and hold most of the strength and the light, will go into a downward spiral of just not being able to cope anymore. And so again, one will come out of them to take control and kill us, because we can't bear it no more. And so we let go of everyone to stop that happening to us and to stop hurting the other, whether they knew it or not. But they will eventually. And then what happened? Because those belief systems were so strongly ingrained into my autonomic nervous system, my autonomic nervous system started dying. I have to say, that feels amazing. Oh my God, that place that you get to before you die is so euphoric. That must be the natural DMT in the brain. Beautiful. But without the DMT, God, the DMT would make me feel like I've got billions and billions of things burrowing in and out of my skin and every orifice. And basically you've got a lot of orifices in your skin for every hair follicle when you get down to the micro level, because we feel our body on an atomic level. We feel the energy, we don't feel the matter. Because the matter is what causes the pain. When you feel on an energetic level, you've got a whole different perception of the feelings. Hence, it being the subconscious alters that feel that, and feel it in a completely different perception of wording and language used, which is a bit beyond the average mind. But if you choose to believe in the impossible and listen to the impossible and be connected to your heart, you will get this sense of feeling too. Because I am working backwards to the matter level of feeling, and you guys are working forward to the energetic feeling. And when this happens, our dream is to include everyone. Our dream is from a 4-year-old's perspective of empowerment and play, to include everyone, so that no one feels rejected or abandoned or a burden, so that the paperwork that we use in today's society when you're working in the mental health system of let's give them an independent life to live and build that up to them. Yeah, right, it's all in the fucking paperwork and you've put this great mask of a title on it, but at the end of the day it's to keep your own back safe so you don't get sued. It's not there for the individual at all. And I knew that from a conscious left brain perspective before, because I've worked it, I've seen it, but I couldn't stay in it too long. Because I didn't know I was autistic too. All shaman are autistic. But since the seizures, that gave me the awareness of the dissociative identity disorder, genius coping mechanism of childhood trauma, the extreme end of complex post-traumatic stress disorder, the new terminology for multiple personality disorder. And now we've just gone on to all those to give the understanding we can't remember the rest of it. I think it's time to go back to the book, don't we? We feel safe, we feel knowledgeable, and we feel like we're getting the information out there so that we can watch it to re-strengthen the neurological pathways, healthy ones, and that it's becoming more clear and more coherent and more balanced for anyone else that's watching it. And anyone else that's watching it, even if you don't quite understand this yet, it's called the language of light. It's that airy, fairy, spiritual language of let's be the vibration of love. Can we change that to unconditional love? Because everyone thinks they understand the meaning of love, but unconditional love is what it means. And not many people understand unconditional love, because you have to understand it from your subconscious. And to understand it from your subconscious means that if you are in my vicinity and something's happening, then you will eventually mirror those energies and go into your victim or your perpetrator. It is then your choice whether to project your own internal perpetrator or victim back onto us or not. Be it a subconscious choice. If you haven't heard from us again, or some real survival mechanisms of us blocking you on Facebook or cutting you out of our life completely, it's because these energies have been mirrored. And it's nothing to do with you. It's to do with our altars keeping this human vessel safe so that we stay alive and fulfill whatever our smart ass soul contract was, basically. And we are doing it because we want to co-create this collective consciousness dream where there's no judgment. First of all, no judgment to yourself, because we're our own worst critic. And then we can feel that in ourselves, that unconditional love and gratitude, and know this immense capabilities and possibilities that we have. Once we open our mind to it, once we open our heart to it, once we make our mind the slave, once it's not our master anymore. And then you're able to not react to others when they're getting angry at you, when they're pushing away, when they're shouting. Because at the end of the day, it's not about you when they're doing that. They're projecting their deep internal pain outwards. It's them hurting. It's their subconscious reaction. It's an amygdala hijacked, where your amygdala, the part that holds your emotion, the old part of the brain, has suddenly been taken over and you've reverted back to a child state emotion, and you are reacting rather than responding to the situation. So yes, I have this to an extremity, but you've all got it on a part of the spectrum as well. So once we are able to turn our reactions into responses, understand that mistakes and failures are our teachers to learn and grow. And yes, it is challenging self-reflecting inwards and being honest with ourselves. But you don't have to do it with anyone else to start with. Just do it in your own company with yourself to start with, until you become familiar with that feeling. And then move outwards. And this is what they say, let's start the Gandhi quantum ripple effect. Be the change you want to see in the world. That is the maximum output, minimum effort way. Let's create this collective consciousness through the 100th monkey effect, where when a certain amount of us are thinking and feeling, are feeling through our senses, which is the access to our subconscious mind, our right hemisphere brain, the secret to this. When we can feel through our senses and understand ourselves better, what triggers us, what reacts us, lessen that in those moments until we are able then for those triggers not to trigger us anymore, and then we can be around it and we can respond to others that are hurting in the way that they need to be responded to, with unconditional love. That is why we need a great deal of courage to challenge our own beliefs. Because even if we know we didn't choose all these beliefs, it is also true that we agreed to all of them on a subconscious level. The agreement is so strong that even if we understand the concept of it not being true, we feel the blame, the guilt, and the shame that occur if we go against these rules. Just as the government has a book of laws that rules the society's dreams, our belief system is the book of laws that rules our own personal dream. All these laws exist in our mind. We believe them, and the judge inside us bases everything on these rules. The judge decrees, and the victim suffers the guilt and punishment. But who says there is justice in the dream? But who says there is justice in this dream? True justice is paying only once for each mistake. True justice is paying more than once for each mistake. How many times do we pay for one mistake? The answer is thousands of times. The human is the only animal on earth that pays 1,000 times for the same mistake. The rest of the animals pay once for every mistake they make. But not us. We have a powerful memory. We make a mistake, we judge ourselves, we find ourselves guilty, and we punish ourselves. If justice exists, then that was enough. We don't need to do it again. But every time we remember, we judge ourselves again. We are guilty again, and we punish ourselves again and again and again. If we have a wife or a husband, he or she also reminds us of the mistake. So we judge ourselves again, punish ourselves again, and find ourselves guilty again. Is this fair? How many times do we make our spouse our moon time? That rules the emotions. How many times do we make our spouse, our children, or our parents pay for the same mistake? Every time we remember the mistake, we blame them again and send them all the emotional poison we feel at the injustice. And then we make them pay again for the same mistake. Is that justice? The judge in the mind is wrong because the belief system, the book of law, is wrong. The whole dream is based on false law. 95% of the beliefs we have stored in our minds are nothing but lies. And we suffer because we believe all these lies. In the dream of the planet, it is normal for humans to suffer, to live in fear, and to create emotional dramas. The outside dream is not a pleasant dream. It is a dream of violence, a dream of fear, a dream of war, a dream of injustice. The personal dream of humans will vary, but globally, it is mostly a nightmare. If we look at human society, we see a place so difficult to live in because it is ruled by fear. Throughout the world, we see human suffering, anger, revenge, addictions, violence in the street, and tremendous injustice. It may differ. It may exist at different levels in different countries around the world. But fear is controlling the outside dream. If we compare the dream of human society with the description of hell that religions are all around us, all around the world have promulgated, we find they are exactly the same. Religions say that hell is a place of punishment, a place of fear, pain and suffering, a place where the fire burns you. Fire is generated by emotions that come from fear. Whenever we feel the emotions of anger, jealousy, envy or hate, we experience a fire burning within us. We are living in a dream of hell. If you consider hell as a state of mind, then hell is all around us. Others may warn us that if we don't do what they say we should do, we will go to hell. Bad news. We are already in hell, including the people who tell us that. No human can condemn another to hell because we're already there. Others can put us into a deeper hell, true, but only if we allow this to happen. Every human has his or her own personal dream. And just like the society dream, it is often ruled by fear. We learn to dream hell in our own life, in our own personal dream. The same fears manifest in different ways for each person, of course. But we experience anger, jealousy, hate, envy, and other negative emotions. Our personal dream can also become an ongoing nightmare, where we suffer and live in a state of fear. But we don't need to dream a nightmare. It is possible to enjoy a pleasant dream. All of humanity is searching for truth, justice, and beauty. We are on an eternal search for the truth because we only believe in the lies we have stored in our mind. We are searching for justice because in the belief system we have, there is no justice. We search for beauty because it doesn't matter how beautiful a person is. We don't believe that person has beauty. We keep searching and searching when everything is already within us. There is no truth to find. Wherever we turn our heads, all we see is the truth. But with the agreements and beliefs we have stored in our mind, we have no eyes for this truth. We don't see the truth because we are blind. What blinds us are all of those false beliefs we have in our mind. We have the need to be right, to make others wrong. We trust that we believe, and our beliefs set us up for suffering. It is as if we live in the middle of a fog that doesn't let us see any further than our own nose. We live in a fog that is not even real. This fog is a dream. Your personal dream of life, what you believe, all the concepts you have about what you are, all the agreements you have made with others, with yourself, and even with God. We live in a fog that is not even real. This fog is a dream. Your personal dream of life. What you believe. All the concepts you have about who, what you are. All the agreements that you have made with others, with yourself, and even with God. Your whole mind is a fog, which the Toltecs called a mitote. Oh, we got it right! Pronounced mitote. Of course you did, didn't you? Your whole mind is a fog, which the Toltecs called a mitote. Your mind is a dream where 1,000 people talk at the same time, and nobody understands each other. This is the condition of the human mind. A big mitote. And with that big mitote, you cannot see what or who you really are. In India, they call the mitote maya, which means illusion. It is the personality's notion of I am. Everything you believe about yourself and the world, all the concepts and programming you have in your mind, are all mitote. We cannot see who we truly are. We cannot see that we are not free. That is why humans resist life. To be alive is the biggest fears humans have. Death is not the biggest fear we have. Our biggest fear is taking the risk to be alive. Boy, do I know that one's true. Death is not the biggest fear we have. Our biggest fear is taking the risk to be alive. The risk to be alive and express what we really are. Been in this insane hospital. Being in the psychiatric ward gave us the ability. It was like, okay, we're in here. And this is the judgments. They're all nuts. They think I'm nuts or we're nuts. Because if I'm saying we're when I'm not, I've got to be nuts. So let's just do what we want to do because they all think I'm nuts anyway. So let's just be who we are. So what did it give us? Me? It gave me freedom of expression. And now, doing these, because we multitask, doing this, what we're doing now, which conscious mind doesn't like being seen and heard. So it's repeating the experience so the conscious mind can become more familiar and very comfortable with being seen and heard. Using the freedom of expression of our voice and our actions. But with the main number reason, because anything anyone does is your subconscious trying to communicate with you. So the number one reason I am doing this is to watch back myself, to take notes. No, it's to watch back first or to listen back first, whoever's able to do in the moment. And again and again and again until we're comfortable with watching it back and listening to it. And then to take notes. Haven't taken notes yet. There's a lot of us inside. Got to do a lot of watching back and repetition. But it's soon. I can feel it coming. We're travelling and riding some very fluctuant turmoil, extreme waves of darkness and light at the moment. Fear not to go down into the darkness too much, because we know what will happen. And if that means we have to stay awake for as long as we need to stay awake, not to go into those conscious states of mind, those altered states of consciousness, of wavelengths in the mind, then so be it. That's what we'll do. To get enough of a couple of hours sleep so we don't hit the REM. But at the same time, we can't step up into the light too much because the light physically burns. So we're keeping in this little spectrum at the moment of fluctuation until we're able to do whatever it is we're able to do. And that's folding as much for me as it is you. But I'm one step ahead because I'm inside here. But there's others that are so much further ahead than us, and they're the ones that have embraced the light fully and have so much courage and strength for going to them places in themselves, and that are able to hold this positivity and this strength and this faith of this heaven on earth, words to describe it, where there is inclusion for everyone. And I'm not even able to connect to them in physical form anymore, because they bring me too deep. When I go too deep, I go too young into those child state emotions, and then the victim can come out, or the want for others' attention comes out. But I'm in connection with them still through this beautiful virtual web. And they're my sound bath healing people, Megan and Olivier. And I'm so grateful that they're doing this daily meditation thing every day, because I wouldn't be able to keep going otherwise. So anyone else out there that is experiencing any kind of fear or pain on whatever level, be it your own or be it the collective consciousness, tap into these daily meditations. I don't think they do it on a Sunday, although they said there may be the calling for them to do it today. So we're putting the energies out to them. And I've known them both for a long time, and I don't really understand the energy stuff, but hopefully they'll feel the energy. And they'll be doing one at some point today. Who knows? Let's see if that gets done. So yeah, I think that's enough tomorrow. But yeah, feed yourself with these meditations. It's hard work finding people online that are completely true and authentic and transparent and loyal to their word, impeccable to their word. But I know them in person, and I've experienced them, and all of us alters have experienced them in physical on many levels. And energetically on many levels, and now energetically through the virtual world. And I can, with all my alternate personalities' hearts, say that they are someone to fully trust on this. Because other people that we think we can trust, we can't. Because how can we trust someone that doesn't have their own trust in themselves or their own self-belief in themselves, that doesn't have the strength of capabilities not to fulfil the drama triangles? But that's okay, that's not their fault. And that's why we're reading this book. Don't take anything personally. Anything anyone ever does is because of their own internal stream state reality. Whether that's their dream state reality that's come up into the conscious reality or not. We have learned to live by other people's points of view, because of the fear of not being accepted and of not being good enough for someone else. During the process of domestication, we form an image of what perfection is in order to try to be good enough. We create an image of how we should be in order to be accepted by everybody. We especially try to please the ones who love us, like mum and dad, big brothers and sisters, the priests and the teacher. Trying to be good enough for them. We create an image of perfection. But we don't fit this image. We create this image, but this image is not real. We are never going to be perfect from this point of view. Never. Not being being human is imperfection. Then you have perfection. Ah, the irony. Shh. Not being perfect, we reject ourselves. And the level of self-rejection depends upon how effective the adults were in breaking our integrity. After domestication, it is no longer about being good enough for anybody else. We are not good enough for ourselves because we don't fit in with our own image of perfection. We cannot forgive ourselves for not being what we wish to be, or rather, what we believe we should be. We cannot forgive ourselves for not being perfect. Born back too bad to die. I don't think you can turn it on its side, and that's the wrong charger, isn't it? We know we are not what we believe. The battery might die and it might finish, but we'll come back to finish. We know we are not what we believe we are supposed to be, and so we feel false, frustrated and dishonest. We try to hide ourselves and we pretend to be what we are not. The result is that we feel unauthentic and wear social masks to keep others from noticing us. We are so afraid that somebody else will notice that we are not what we pretend to be. We judge others according to our image of perfection, as well as naturally they fall short of our expectations. We dishonour ourselves just to please other people. We even do harm to our physical bodies just to be accepted by others. You see, teenagers taking drugs just to avoid being rejected by other teenagers. They are not aware that the problem is that they don't accept themselves. They reject themselves because they are not what they pretend to be. They wish to be a certain way, but they are not. And for this they carry shame and guilt. Humans punish themselves endlessly for not being what they believe they should be. They become very self-abusive, and they use other people to abuse themselves as well. Sweet dreams are made of these. Shh. But nobody abuses us more than we abuse ourselves. And it is the judge, the victim, and the belief system that make us do this. True, we find people who say their husband or wife or mother or father abuse them. But you know that we abuse ourselves much more than that. The way we judge ourselves is the worst judge that ever existed. If we make a mistake in front of people, we try to deny the mistake and cover it up. But as soon as we are alone, the judge becomes so strong. The guilt is so strong. And we feel so stupid, or so bad, or so unworthy. In your whole life, nobody has ever abused you more than you have abused yourself. And the limit of your self-abuse is exactly the limit that you will tolerate from someone else. If someone abuses you a little more than you abuse yourself, you will probably walk away from that person. But if someone abuses you a little less than you abuse yourself, you will probably stay in the relationship and tolerate it endlessly. If you abuse yourself badly, you can even tolerate someone who beats you up, humiliates you, and treats you like dirt. Why? Because in your belief system you say, I deserve it. This person is doing me a favour by being with me. I'm not worthy of love and respect. I'm not good enough. We have the need to be accepted and to be loved by others, but we cannot accept and love ourselves. The more self-love we have, the less we will experience self-abuse. Self-abuse comes from self-rejection, and self-rejection comes from having an image of what it means to be perfect and never measuring up to that ideal. Our image of perfection is the reason we reject ourselves. It is why we don't accept ourselves the way we are, and why we don't accept others the way they are. Relude to a new dream. I'm just going to go for a mimmy for a wee, so I'm going to finish it and come back in 10.